Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. The horrendous moral path that America has marched down has been disproportionately led by Catholics, bad Catholics who have betrayed the faith. Sodomite marriage, for example, is now legal in New York because a Catholic in name only Governor Andrew Cuomo pushed for it strongly. And then, when the final crucial vote came in the New York State House, the two votes that would have secured defeat were both Catholics and both Knights of Columbus, who voted instead in favor of institutionalizing immorality and sin. When Obama's immoral and unjust health care plan was heading down to defeat in the United States Congress, it was a handful of Catholic lawmakers that snatched passage from the jaws of defeat and got it over the line with just enough votes. They were encouraged by a nun who lied about the reality of Obamacare covering abortion. And now, contraception, sterilization, and the lack of conscience clause for the Catholic hospital and healthcare workers, all these chickens are coming home to roost because Catholics voted them into law. Gays in the military, the advancement of the homosexual agenda in the United States Armed Forces, is happily being spearheaded by U.S. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta, another traitorous Catholic who helped the Clinton White House promote the pro-abortion agenda. The so-called health care laws being shoved down the throats of Catholic hospitals and educational institutions by yet another backstabbing Catholic, Kathleen Sebelius, former governor of Kansas, who coddled notorious late-term abortionist George Tiller. These are just some of the more recent members of the Catholic traitors' rogues gallery. The old warhorses like Catholic in name only Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are of course still stirring their cauldron of anti-Catholic modernist evil every chance they get. The point of all this is to say that practically every institutionalized immorality present in America, and by extension because of the U.S.'s cultural influence all around the globe, is present because of a handful of traitorous Catholics here and there in key positions at critical times. This must be icing on the cake for the diabolical. Not only is Luciferian evil being advanced, but it is being done by and large by Catholics. The very people called to be the salt of the earth are injecting the poison. Archbishop Timothy Dolan last week fired off a broadside against Obama and his agenda of evil. We'll be discussing that in greater detail tomorrow, but in the main, until the leaders of the Church in America put sufficient distance between themselves and this traitorous lot of Catholic political leaders, they're going to find the going tough. The reason why is very simple. These Judas Catholics worm their way into these positions quite frequently by passing themselves off as Catholics to a Catholic electorate, or at least to many voters in their home districts who are Catholic. They present themselves as your typical Catholic. They show up at Catholic events like fish fries, enroll in Catholic associations like the Knights of Columbus, speak at Catholic schools and universities, and belong to various Catholic organizations. All of this gives the impression to Catholic voters, who are largely ignorant of almost everything Catholic, that these snakes in the grass are actually Catholic and at least passively accepted by the Church and her leaders, and therefore, and here's the key, okay to vote for, or at least pose no moral or ethical theological problems in voting for them. They have played this game extremely well and milked it for every ounce they can get out of it. They have been unopposed by church leaders, or practically unopposed, and have worked their way up to the highest levels of government in so doing. And once they get into that elected office, like all politicians, they use their power platforms to network and move up and get entrenched into the political stratosphere through being appointed to this office or that department or that subcommittee. Sebelius and Panetta are prime examples. They appear to have the Catholic seal of approval, and from those heights have caused evil to rain down on the culture. It is a very good thing that Archbishop Dolan and other bishops have dropped some of the niceties with Obama. He is supporting an agenda of evil and needs to be called on it. But calling him out is only one step. The people he is using as some of his strongest generals are traitors to the bishops. They too need to be called out. Organizations that support or coddle them must be called out. Institutions that give them platforms must be called out. And more than just called out, they all must suffer consequences for their dereliction and support of the cultural rot. There is some indication a little bit here and there that this is beginning to happen, and this is a good thing, but at the present, it isn't nearly enough. The diabolical forces, and that is what they surely are well established, funded, and motivated. They are never wishy-washy in their approach. The official Catholic response must be no less established, funded, and motivated. The goodwill that has been extended to these groups and individuals on the part of so many in the Church must now be understood as having been taken massive, unmitigated advantage of. Think Neville Chamberlain and Adolf Hitler. The political traitors, as well as ecclesial traitors, must be dealt with, and dealt with fast and in no uncertain terms. Their evil must be exposed, and they must suffer the consequences for it, both for the sake of their own souls as well as for the sake of others. That is the definition of charity. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.